Well, good afternoon to you both. First of all, congratulations. It is a beautiful piece, and you both did. I enjoyed your roles tremendously. Mr. Vance, I'm a huge fan, and I've seen you play a pastor before. One of my favorite roles was the preacher's wife, but this is a very different type of pastor that you're playing. Very different. I mean, very complex character. Can you talk a little bit just about the complexities of Aretha's father, as he's this caring father, but also a womanizer, he's just got a lot,
A lot going on.
a lot going on, but it's hard not to like him, or at least feel for him in certain ways, because you do see the human side of him.
What I say, Miss Christal, is that the nobody knows what life was like back in them 50s and 40s and 30s when there was nowhere for Black folks to turn,
Yeah,
for no answers. And so he came from the sharecropping fields and jumped into the pulpit because his stepfather gave him an ultimatum, and he had to figure it out. And he figured it out and ended up the $1 million voice, and with a mansion, and of course he had some issues in Memphis, and they ran him out of town, but he ended up back on his feet in Detroit, and this family grew up in a mansion basically. And but there was a cost for that.
right.
But nobody, the Black folks didn't have time to be doing no therapy, and so we just made it work, and it didn't.
It didn't.
It's obvious that there was a high cost for that he put on his family. His wife, kicked his wife out the house, and his daughter, and went mute and took his daughter on the road on the gospel circuit at 12. That's the worst place for a little child to be. But he knew he had to do something because he was going to lose his muse, and so he took his and then the rest of it is us scrambling, trying to figure out how to keep all the ball. And thank God she persevered and became, after 7 years, and became Big Reed.
Yeah.
And didn't give up and come back to the church.
Well, and that all that she saw didn't affect her in a way that could have stifled her. I want to ask you, Shaian, do you think, because playing that role, we see her, you very as a childlike, but yet dealing with some big, issues that children shouldn't have to see. Dad being physically violent. Even the scene where dad has to protect the two of them when there's a racial incident, and when the story opens. Do you think that your character grew up too fast? Do you think that she was able to retain some of her childlike innocence?
I feel like throughout the story, like, she kind of loses that innocence a little bit. Like, of course God is always with her, but like, I feel like as she started to experience things and started to go through heartbreak, struggle, like seeing her mom leave, like having a child at 12 and at 14, she matured and lost a little bit of lost her innocence. Innocence way too fast, I feel like.
Yeah, well, you did an amazing job. What was the scene like? What was that like on that day of filming, where she's crying to her mother, please, I'll make daddy be nice to you. Tell me about filming that day, because that was a really powerful scene, watching her beg her mom to stay and defend her father.
So that scene, it was someone who she saw as a mother figure. That was like the next person after her mom left, like someone who she became really close to. So that scene, it's kind of like, so yeah, like you said, it's powerful. I had to really tap into my inner emotions. Like, if I didn't have my mom in my life, that's like the one thing that will make me cry. Like, I had to tap into, if my mom wasn't in my life, how would I feel? Like, she's losing someone that really became that that person that she was able to go to, someone leaving her again. Like, yeah. Losing her mom was enough, but losing someone else who she now saw almost as a mother figure is now leaving her life again. So I feel like that's really an emotional topic for her.
Absolutely. My last question to you, Courtney, one of the things that I really thought was amazing was the confidence that was there from father to daughter. Like he knew his daughter had it and he encouraged her, even, like you said, taking her on the circuit at 12, bringing her down to, and putting her in situations that weren't necessarily suitable for a child, but it seemed like he did that because he really had confidence and believed in her. Do you think his confidence spilled over and allowed her to have that same confidence within herself?
I don't know. That's a great question. All I know is that he knew his children, as all parents should. He knew his children. He knew her, and he knew that she wanted to be a star. And instead of holding her back from that, so that she could, come when she's, a little more mature, he gave it to her. Just like he, and around the table, they said, "Well, I know." The other kids were like, "Well, I want to do it. I want to do this." No, Retha's going to go first. You're going to go after Retha, and everybody knew that Retha was my favorite. That's something that you're not supposed to do.
Not supposed to do.
But he was clear. He did it over and over again. No, Retha, you're gonna go first. And everybody had to deal with it. I mean, and that's the dynamics in that just that was a load for the children, the rest of the children, and Retha have to deal with it. And going forward, that's because any man that she gonna get with in life, well, I'm going first. My daddy told me that your daddy, so it was messy. He was messy.
He was very messy.
But you loved him, but boy, you messy. Stop being so messy.
He couldn't help himself. Well, it's a phenomenal piece, and thank you guys so much for your time. Kudos to you. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Christal.